Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mentally Tough Coaching, where I'm giving coaches the knowledge, the tools, and the confidence to teach the mental aspect of the game to their athletes, and in particular, mental toughness. And in this video, we're going to be talking about different relaxation techniques that a coach can implement with their athletes. The first technique that we're going to be talking about is mindfulness, one of my favorite tools. Mindfulness is a great tool to help an athlete remain in the present moment. One of the key founders in the field is Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. He defined mindfulness as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. George Mumford, who worked with Kabat-Zinn, was contacted by Phil Jackson in 1993. For those who don't know, Phil Jackson was the Bulls coach during the 90s and then went on to the Lakers. One of the most successful coaches in all of basketball, and I have great respect for him because he really was one of those first coaches who took into account the mental game. If any of you watched the Last Dance documentary with the Bulls, you'd see that he truly understood his athletes. Dennis Rodman was someone who needed to go out and party. He needed to go do that, he needed to go do this to perform at his peak. He let Dennis Rodman go to Vegas for the weekend when they had a game coming up. I'm not saying that you coaches need to be like that, but just consider how ahead of the time he really was. So back to George Mumford. Came to work with the Bulls in 1993. This was after the Bulls' first three-peat and after Jordan had announced his retirement. So the team really had to search for a new identity, right? They lost their star player, one of the greatest of all times, and the media was in frenzies. To no surprise, the team morale really dropped following that 1993 season. Upon Michael Jordan's return to the Bulls, he actually credits mindfulness for his game-winning shot in 1998 against the Utah Jazz. Jordan mentioned in that moment the game really just slowed down for him, almost as if he was in a flow state. The flow state is the enhancement in psychological and physical functioning stemming from the absence of judgment to, of course, which, no surprise, enhances performance. Mumford would then move on to Los Angeles with Phil Jackson, and to no surprise, they ended up winning 5 more championships in LA. To further assess the benefits of mindfulness meditation in sports, a research study was done with elite cyclists. The intervention included a 30-minute CD leading the cyclists in mindfulness meditation. The participants were asked to do the mindfulness meditation every day for 8 weeks. Those who participated in the mindfulness intervention had increases in mindfulness and flow. To understand how mindfulness works, research looked at the HPA-Axis in elite shooters. Cortisol is the hormonal response to acute stress, which we find at elevated levels prior to competition compared to like a resting state. The researchers used saliva samples to measure the cortisol prior to competition. In as little as 4 weeks of mindfulness meditation, the participants found a decrease in pre-competition stress and an increase in shooting ability. A good way to really understand mindfulness and to improve on it is to just go for a walk. A lot of the time when we're going for a walk, we're maybe either thinking about what we need to do for the day, maybe we're thinking about something that happened in the past, but really challenge yourself to go outside, go for a walk, and really just focus on the present moment. A lot of the time we may be ignoring the birds chirping in the background. Maybe you're not paying attention to the cars roaring by. Maybe you're not even paying attention to your feet hitting the ground. Really just going for a short walk and introducing mindfulness and just really staying in that current moment is a really good way to introduce mindfulness. It could kind of relate back to imagery in the sense that ask yourself, what are the 5 senses that you're currently experiencing? Maybe your mind starts to wander, but bring it back to that current moment and what you're actually experiencing right now. Coaches could implement a 10 to 15 minute meditation break during practice. Have the players focus on the current moment and the exact emotions that they're feeling in that exact moment. Explain to the athletes that it's okay if the mind wanders. However, remember to bring that mind back to the current moment and be non-judgmental in that situation. The goal is really for the athletes to be aware of their cognitions and emotions in that moment. With practice, the athletes will be better and better at bringing their mind back and stopping it from traveling to the future or the past. By focusing on the present moment during competition, athletes can move past mistakes and avoid thinking too far ahead, which would lead to further mistakes. Another relaxation technique is PMR, which stands for Progressive Muscle Relaxation. This is a skill that really helps athletes to understand what relaxation feels like. Studied and developed in the 1920s by Dr. Edmund Jacobson, PMR focused on 14 muscle groups. PMR works by contrasting the feeling of tension followed by relaxation in the same muscles. This can work to help athletes identify and understand when some of their muscles might be tense so that they can work on relaxing them. It's recommended that the athletes scan their body twice a day to try to identify where they might be tense. They then can accompany PMR with deep breathing techniques to alleviate the tension. When a muscle is identified as tense, the athlete should then tense that muscle for 7 seconds or so and then relax it. They should notice the difference between the muscle when it's tense and then when it's relaxed. PMR not only has shown to help with muscles but also negative moods. A research study done by Hashim and Yusuf in 2011 found that a PMR intervention over a 12-week period led to significant decreases in depression, fatigue, feelings of confusion even, and of course tension among adolescent soccer players. Another research study found that participating in PMR only twice led to significant increases in relaxation while significantly decreasing heart rate. In addition, those participants reported lower scores on an anxiety inventory and a perceived stress self-report inventory. PMR works similar to mindfulness in that it works with the HPA-Axis as well. Those individuals who participated in PMR had significant decreases in cortisol in their saliva. Coaches implementing PMR may either find a script online that they read to their athletes, or they can find a YouTube video or a CD that brings them through a script. The scripts may either start from the head muscles and work down, or vice versa from the feet up. The first few sessions may take up to 30 minutes just because you're introducing it to the athletes, but it's recommended that the athletes focus on 14 to 16 muscle groups during the PMR. With continual practice, the athletes will get better and better at recognizing any tension within their body and ways to help alleviate it. Because of that, the following sessions may end up being shorter and shorter. The last relaxation technique that I want to talk about is diaphragmatic breathing. This is also known as deep breathing, and it's really a body-mind activity. Diaphragmatic breathing is efficient in helping to reduce stress and psychosomatic conditions. Diaphragmatic breathing involves contracting the diaphragm, so expanding that belly, while deepening the inhalation and exhalation. In return, this form of breathing decreases the respiration frequency while maximizing the blood gases. This is a type of breathing that you'd often see in yoga. There are a great amount of benefits to diaphragmatic breathing, including emotional enhancement, reduction in anxiety, depression, and stress, and it even has shown to help with emotional exhaustion caused by job burnout. Jareth et al. In 2015 hypothesized what was going on in the brain during diaphragmatic breathing. The researchers hypothesized that deep breathing stimulates the GABA pathways from the prefrontal cortex. This inhibits the amygdala overreactivity, which the amygdala is responsible for those emotions. A research study looked at healthy individuals and the use of diaphragmatic breathing. They found that it helps to decrease the negative affect levels as well as cortisol levels in their saliva. In addition, they found that after only one 15-minute diaphragmatic breathing session, sustained attention increased. All of these findings would be very beneficial to athletes in the sports setting. Because of its relaxation effects, it may be important to encourage diaphragmatic breathing prior to competition, depending on the level of anxiety or stress at that time. To start practicing diaphragmatic breathing, it may be beneficial for the athletes to lay on their back with their hand on their stomach like so. By having your hand on your stomach, it gives the diaphragm resistance while also helping the athlete understand that they should feel a rise in their belly more than their chest. At maximum, the athlete should be doing 12 breaths, which includes the inhale and exhale, per minute of doing this activity. It's common for an individual while doing diaphragmatic breathing to inhale for 4, hold for 7, and then breathe out for 8. Obviously, this is something that will take practice, and the ratio can be adjusted depending on the athlete. The important thing is that they should be about maxing out at about 12 inhales and exhales per minute. The ratio can be adjusted to whatever the athlete feels comfortable with. However, the most important thing is really just focusing on the 12 breaths, which includes the inhale and exhale per minute. So when exhaling, have that athlete really focus on the relaxation of their abdomen, their chest, and their shoulders. We often hold a lot of tension in our shoulders, so that's really important. So as a coach, implement this during practice for 5 to 15 minutes to help introduce and explain how diaphragmatic breathing can be beneficial before, during, and after competition when stress is high. So during this video, we went over mindfulness, PMR, and diaphragmatic breathing. Some of the most beneficial relaxation techniques that I've found in my research. I hope this video was helpful. Make sure you drop a like, leave a comment with any questions. Of course, I hope you have a great day.